Alrighty, so moving along with our development process, in this video we're going to cover step 3 of developing the order history service. Alright, so let's go ahead and zoom in here to our terminal window, and let's go ahead and generate this order history service using the Angular CLI. So ng generate service services/order history. And now swinging over to our services directory, we see that there's a new entry here for order history service. I'll just exit out of this terminal window just to give myself some space to work with. Let's go ahead and move into our order history service. The first thing that we want to do is define the order URL. So that's the actual endpoint to our REST API. And then I'll move into my constructor and I'll actually inject the HTTP client. I'll use that for making REST API calls. And just make sure we have the correct imports up top for the HTTP client. That looks good. And now I'll define this method here, get order history, for a given user. So they'll pass in the user's email address. And then we'll return an observable for get response order history. And we'll define the get response order history interface a little bit later. So just hang tight. Now, the first thing I need to do in this method is I need to build a URL based on the customer email. So that order URL, I need to append the customer email. So I'm going to go ahead and set this up here. So order history URL, and give the base URL, /search/find by customer email. And then I set up that parameter, email equals, and then I use the actual parameter that's passed into this method, the email. And then I make the REST API calls. So I use http-client.get. And then I pass in the order history URL. So this effectively calls the REST API. Now, what about this get response order history? All right, so this is a special interface that we'll use to access the JSON data that's being returned. So let's go ahead and define this now. So effectively here, we're going to unwrap the JSON that comes back from the Spring Data REST API, and particularly the underscore embedded entry, and we'll basically map those to an array of order history items. And then let me just fix the imports here for this observable. And I think that's it. So this all looks pretty good so far.